It's difficult to continue being a winning country in a continent which is challenged a lot. The last time we didn't agree was in 1998. It's easy for companies to hire people, but it's also easy to fire people.
Welcome to The Big Question, the series from Euronews where we address some of the biggest topics on the business agenda. I'm Hannah Brown, and today I'm joined by Thomas Bustrup, the Deputy Director General of the Confederation of Danish Industries. So welcome, thank you very much for joining us. So I think the big word on everyone's lips in Europe at the moment is competitiveness. And on global rankings, Denmark is doing pretty well. So why do you think that is?
I think we have quite a flexible economy and we have a flexible labour market.
Yeah.
We've been building up a system for more than 100 years. Somebody calls this the Danish model. It is a model which is very much about trust. Trust between the employees, the unions, and the employers. I think that plays an important role.
And do you think there is a particular focus on any kind of businesses or industries in Denmark that particularly play a role in making it competitive?
I mean, we have a very strong sector within pharmaceuticals who are global champions, and not only Novo Nordisk, but that's one of them. And then I think that the whole green transition, a lot of Danish companies have an excellence in that, and not just within the last years, but within probably 30, 40 years. You could say that Danish companies has done a lot in the green transition, and thereby also being popular around the world, not only in Europe, but also in the US and Asia.
Yes, yeah. So you mentioned the Danish model of the labour market. Can you just explain a little bit kind of how it works and why it's unique?
It's based on trust, and you don't build up trust in a couple of years. That takes a long time. But we've done that in the Danish society. So basically we, on behalf of the employers, we negotiate with the unions every second, third year on all labour market regulation. So it's a very decentralized model. And the government basically only interfere when we cannot agree. And last time we didn't agree was in 1998, so more than 25 years ago. So the unions will go out to all the employees, all their members, and say, you know, we've had tough negotiations, and they are tough. Normally they last for 2-3 months. Oh wow! And then they go out and they recommend to all their members to vote, and the employees and the employers and DI, we also vote on the result, and if it's a yes, it's a yes. And then you have this common understanding that this is going to be the labour regulation over the next 2 or 3 years. It creates the platform to say, okay, this is what we have. This is how we share. Hopefully, you know, the good results made in the company. This is how we share it for the next 2 or 3 years. So it creates a common ground. And I mean, when I travel around in Europe, in Brussels and other countries in Europe, they are very envious of this model, because it's not everywhere that you have this direct, good, constructive talk between the unions and the employers.
What benefits does this bring to a business?
We have a very flexible labour market. It's easy for companies to hire people, but it's also easy to fire people. And of course that is something what the unions have to sort of get their grip around, that, you know, it's easy to fire, but it means the flexibility that if a company wants, maybe we have an opportunity there, should we go for it? Yes. Because we hire some people, it's easy for us to hire them, and if it doesn't work, we find another way.
So whilst it might benefit businesses, are there any risks for the workers in this model?
There's the security part, which is of course our public model that we have as taxpayers. We have a system that if you are out of job and you don't have any way of getting around that, we have a public welfare system that takes care of the people that are unemployed until they find a new job.
Yes.
Because, I mean, the flexibility means that you often find a new job very quickly.
And with that, you know, the easy hiring and firing, how has that affected employment rates? What are employment rates in Denmark like?
Very high, very low unemployment.
Brilliant.
We are constantly trying to get the employment rate even higher, but we are sort of getting at a maximum, which also means that we are, as a society, quite dependent on international labour coming from outside if we want to continue being number 2 or 3 or 4. Yes.
Do you have any statistics around kind of the money that it saves businesses in terms of being able to actually be really efficient with how they spend their money?
I don't know if I have the statistics, but So it's more a gut feeling talking to, for example, Danish companies investing in other big European countries, explaining the difficulties they have when they have to take this investment decision. Should we go for this plant or not? Yeah. Should we hire 200 people more in France or should we do it somewhere else?
And do you think this model would work only specifically for Denmark, or do you think it could be applied and be successful elsewhere in Europe?
No, of course it can, but it takes time and it takes the willingness and it takes a wish to actually create this partnership, because that's basically what it is. It is a partnership. And of course also accept that you have different interests, but in a way you have the same interest, because you want to be successful. And I think if you look 2 or 3 decades back, some of the unions would say, globalization is not necessarily a good thing because Danish companies will start producing in China and not in Denmark. What will happen? So at that time, there was also quite a good, well-founded discussion in the Danish society. If we want to be number 2 or 3 or 4, what you mentioned in the beginning, in the future, should we embrace the globalization or should we try to build up walls? And Denmark is a small economy. Yeah. We have succeeded in making it a very open economy. So it's a small open economy, which means that in the time we are in right now, we might face challenges because things geopolitically is getting kind of tough.
And so that brings me to my final question. Denmark's already doing very well on the global scale of competitiveness, but where do you think there's still room for improvement? What changes would you like to see?
Well, the changes I would like to see is mainly in Europe. Because it's a very small economy and a very open economy, and it's difficult to continue being a winning country in a continent which is challenged a lot. Yeah. I wouldn't call it a losing continent, but so the changes that we see for is in Europe, because a lot of the regulation also governing Danish companies is determined in Europe. And I think we need to look at speed, we need to look at simplicity in terms of Europe. I mean, China has their way of assisting their companies. In the US, you see new initiatives like the Inflation Reduction Act and things like that. In Europe, we want to do the same thing, but the speed and simplicity is a huge challenge also for Danish companies. It's simply all the application processes, and also if you want new products to be approved out in the European market, it takes too long and it's too complicated, and which means that also Danish companies will look for doing their investments outside of Europe, and I think that is very challenging.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time today and for your fascinating insights on the big question. Thank you.
Thank you.